Well, we're going to talk about what it. So just raise it.
Welcome to the Teaming Up Show, your guide to the future of real estate. I'm Josh Parmela, joined by Brian McWhite. Again, we're going to talk about, what are we going to talk about? Raising the roof?
Raising the roof. Yeah, raising the roof. What can you do to break through some of your natural ceilings in real estate sales? So for you, a big deal has been coaching and mentoring. Right?
Yeah, and it probably has
yeah,
been for you
and for me as well. But I know that that's been
Okay.
massive, like for the whole company, the way
yeah.
the company's been steered, your relationships with your mentors.
Yeah, I think if you want to get somewhere, I mean, if you want to get somewhere, let's get on the railroad track and just follow the track. And I think, you know, a mentor obviously has been, the right mentor has been there before, has seen the problems that you've seen, deals with things, has dealt with things that you're dealing with now, and has dealt with things 10 steps ahead of you, 50 steps ahead of you, so they know. If it's the right mentor, they're going to know and help educate you and guide you in the direction that you want to go or you should go, right?
Exactly.
And you know, finding the right mentor is absolute. There's study after study that shows in real estate sales that if you're under 4 years, that mentorship is like the number one thing sought after, and it's hard to find. And that's why I think in our company we've kind of just set it up naturally like that, almost accidentally, other than just knowing that mentorship has been able, the right mentors have been able to jump people up in production so fast that it's an absolute no-brainer.
Because people aren't having to reinvent the wheel.
Exactly.
Right? When you come into the business, you start to do things instinctually, you start to try to figure out how things work, but a good mentor will say, oh, I've already figured that out. I've already done that.
Right.
So just, I'll tell you how to do it, and you can do it.
Right.
It's
And
pretty,
you're probably going to add a little bit of your own English to that, right?
Exactly.
But
yeah, it's not like you just take and mimic everything your coach does. You
right.
see it as wisdom, and you take it, internalize it,
Yep.
make it your own, and throw away what isn't useful.
Yep.
But it sounds so 101, but so few people actually seek out and find good mentors and coaches.
I just look back and that's exactly right. I think if people understood how desperate or how much of a need that is, they would go for it harder. I would think, right? I mean, maybe if you watch our video on grit, maybe if you just don't have some of that born into you, you don't do it. But I look back at our success. Every single time we wanted to learn something, we did whatever it took, wherever we had to go learn it. I remember we had good friends in Arizona who were running a big short sale team, and at that time I didn't even know them. And we were closing, I don't know if we were closing 40 transactions a year, and then we met them and we just bothered them. We bothered them so much that we became really good friends with them, and actually they came to my wedding because we were just like, hey, hi. Hey. You know, we just touched them a lot. No, we just bothered them to a place where they had to listen to us, so that we just basically copied everything they did, and then we went on to the next. And I mean, we did that with Gary Keller in our mastermind groups. We did that with our friends in Arizona. And we've done that, a handful of other times, because we know that just copying people that have already figured it out, you can jump 10 years. You might be able to jump 50 years because you might not have ever gotten there, basically, right?
Yep.
So very, very
So coaches and mentors are a big deal. Also,
Huge.
You and I are both voracious readers.
Yep.
And more
Keeping
people...
up with Brian is tough.
No. Josh is a legend.
Yeah, right. Right.
And a lot of people on our team now are becoming readers as well,
Yeah.
because even some who would say that they're not readers. What would you say to
Yeah,
someone who says, I'm just not a reader?
I asked you that. We talked about that, I don't know, maybe a few months ago. And I don't remember when that was.
I always say,
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Whenever I
liked
hear
your thought on that.
Whenever I've heard somebody say, I'm just not a reader, I always say that just all that means is you don't read.
Right.
Of course,
Right.
you're not a reader if you don't read. That's like it's like someone saying, well, I'm not a morning person. All that means is you don't get up early.
Yeah, I know.
It means you don't set an alarm and get up early.
Right. And they act like it's just so much easier for you to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning when you went to bed at midnight.
It's a decision.
It's a decision. Just
Reading
like
books
else.
and becoming better are a decision. Getting up early is a decision.
Yeah.
So anyway, you read a lot of books. How do you figure out what you're going to read?
I see what other people who I want to be that are reading that book. So I'm studying the 10 people who I would take their opinion on what they have read and then read that, and then also if there's a particular problem that I'm looking to solve. Obviously, I mean these seem to be obvious things, but I do think people, especially in today's day and age, where they can just get absolutely inundated with just books.
Yep.
I mean, I feel like it's the never-ending torrential downpour on my face when I'm like, I'm okay, I'm going to read that one. Okay, I read it. Okay, there's 2 more. There's 6 more. I'm kind of going down a tangent, but what I would say then is just see what your mentor is reading, or the 5 other people who you trust, and then read that one. But
I don't think anyone's going to tell you that volume of reading is really what matters. Sheer volume, number of pages. I agree with that. Yep. There are some people who can read 1 billion books and retain it, but most of us just frankly can't.
Right.
So it matters that you find good books and read them deeply and richly and actually internalize them.
Yep.
I mean, if you think about most people read 1 book a year.
Right.
Maybe.
Right.
If you read 5 books a year, if you read 10 books a year, but read them and really absorbed them, you're way further ahead than most people. Yeah. You don't need to read 30 books a year.
Yeah. No, and when I look at when I first started, that's what I would do. I'd read 3 or 4, like a book 3 or 4 times, 5 times. I remember The Millionaire Real Estate Agent 12 times, and I think almost like I should get back to that a little bit, where I, instead of just taking on the next book, go read the best book that I read recently and reread it, because you're like, wow, it's going to become more part of your life. Just like a mentor, if you keep bringing that book inside and you keep reading that book will almost be like a mentor to you, and you're going to be the average of the 5 closest people to you. If you read that book a lot, it's almost going to pull in like another mentor that you're going to be like, because you just read it and you just follow it and you just.
The more you read it, the more you hear it, the more the what's good in that book will become central to the way that you think and the way you operate.
Right.
I want to hear about the Bozo Explosion.
We have our notes here, and Brian's like, "What's the Bozo Explosion?" I'm like, "Haven't I talked to you about that before?" That's kind of a hiring term, where if you're a B player, you're going to hire a C player. A C player is going to hire a D player, and all of a sudden you're going to wake up and you're going to have the Bozo Explosion. And it's kind of funny. I have a hard time because I care about people so much, so it's hard to say Bozo's Explosion. But really what it comes down to, there's a lot of people in an organization that could get hired that they shouldn't be in that organization. They should just be doing something else. So when I look at a Bozo, I look at it like they're just in the wrong spot. Yep. But so what I tell myself is, because I just feel like if you're truly an A player, or you're an A+ player, you're never an A+ player, right? It's just like we were talking about the triathlon. It's like, maybe I could have just got, maybe another minute, and so if you see yourself as an A player, you're not an A player. But A players are the only ones who can hire A+ players, and to prevent the Bozo Explosion. So if you're not an A player, so you tell yourself, I'm not an A player, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do everything I possibly can to be a B+ player. So I'm going to read, I'm going to become like the 5 people who I really want to become. I'm going to study what they do. I'm going to live my life how they do as much as I possibly can, so I can prop myself up to be a B+ player, just enough time to be able to hire someone that's super awesome, and then repeat that process.
And you've done that over and over and over again.
Well, yeah, as our team has done that over and over again.
Josh always talks about how his role that he's in now, finally, is kind of the best suited role for you.
Yeah, by far.
But there was a time when you were doing buyers, there was a time you were doing listings, and Josh.
I'm still doing new construction stuff that isn't what I'm really good at, but I got to do it. You got to fight through it to get to the place where you need to go.
But Josh he embodies this. He has never thought like, I'm so good at listings, I should always be the guy. He wanted to hire someone better than him for listings, hire someone better than him for buyers.
Yep.
And that helps the whole team do better. Now, the problem is that takes a ton of humility.
You think so?
Yes, I do.
I don't know. I don't know why it takes that.
I know that you don't want to say that, so I'm going to say it for you.
Well,
I think that takes a lot of humility, because we see so many agents out there who cannot ever, especially let listings go. Yeah. Because they think that they are absolutely irreplaceable, and in most cases, that's just not the case.
Well, then I tell myself is that there's 1.2 million realtors in the country. Are you telling me that there is, out of the 1.2, you're the only one who can sell listings?
Right.
That's why I have to tell myself that, because you do have places where people will come to you and say, I only want to use you, and I only want to do, and you're like, no, there's 1.2 million other realtors. I'm not saying all of them have it figured out, but there's definitely 100,000 in there that can sell real estate at an extremely high level. Right. We have to find one of those people, and we got to find someone that's better than me, so that when my mom needs to sell their house, I know they're only getting better service than they would if they were selling it with me. And that's what we have to do. And I'm just saying that because that's the mindset that you have to be able to have a business.
Because thinking that you're so good at listings that no one else can handle them, for just as an example, can actually inhibit the long-term growth of your team, because you can't ever step out of it and help just focus on building the team, because you're just stuck in listings.
Right. And then how is the next person coming down the road that's through your organization that wants a bigger life and that wants to help you do that? How are they going to be able to do that eventually?
You won't be able to fit them there.
You won't be able to fit them there, because if you can't get there and you can't make it grow, then how are they going to ever do it? I mean, it's going to be, I'm not saying that would be impossible, but that would be a very hard step to not have a natural progression where other people can help you do it once you figure it out, and help, so you can help them do that too. And one thing, I mean, you can find other ways probably to humble yourself, but all you need to do is go down one street down here in Maple Grove and look at the 100,000 square foot building in a business that you never heard of, that they're probably making $10 or $20 million a year, and you laugh because there's no real estate agent in the country that is making that, and you're like, well, I'm not that big of a deal.
Sure.
I might have a bus bench or two, but I'm not that. But I'm not that cool. And then after that, it helps you get over yourself.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Teaming Up Show. We believe real estate teams are the future of the real estate industry, and want to provide some helpful resources along the way. So
and if you have any questions or any thoughts on our videos, let us know. We'd love to interact with you and help you. We'd love to help you get your business to the next level. That's why we're doing this. We're not doing this just to get on camera. We don't need to be on camera. Right. So we want to help you. So by you commenting, that will allow us to do that.
Awesome. See you in the next one.
Yep.